A prisoner in Australia sues for the right to eat Vegemite. A passenger was found with a meat cleaver on a plane. And a new study shows that shouting at seagulls stops them from stealing your food. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News. This is the only daily weird news podcast. I have some weird news stories, and they're from all over the world, as I usually do. And I'm your host. Let's go. A prisoner in Australia sues for the right to Vegemite, to eat Vegemite, that is. This story is out of Melbourne. A prisoner is challenging an Australian state's ban on inmates eating Vegemite. How's that for an Australian accent? It's pretty good, right? I'd say it's like a 6 out of 10. I won't suffer you through the rest of this article in that accent. I'll just revert back to my own self. Now, this prisoner sued a court claiming that withholding this polarizing yeast-based spread breaches his human right to, quote, enjoy his culture as an Australian. Well, one could make the argument right up top that once you're a prisoner, you kind of forego your human right to enjoy your culture. You've obviously decided to take a crap on the culture. That's how you got into prison in the first place. Nobody in prison really respects the culture, right? Nor your neighbors usually, or the environment. Although I'd probably take you a lot more serious if you were saying, I'd like to have access to Australian playwrights and authors. That way I can enjoy Australian culture. But you're asking for Vegemite, which is disgusting. I mean, do you not think your prison sentence is harsh enough, sir? I mean, I'm so sorry. I know some people love Vegemite. It's like an Australian delicacy. Not a delicacy, but it's a thing. People love it, but I find it a bit repulsive. Granted, I've only had it one time. It was at the Museum of Disgusting Food. There was a pop-up museum in Los Angeles called the Museum of Disgusting Food. Obviously, as you can imagine, they featured a lot of strange food that people eat all around the world, and they had a tasting bar where you could actually taste some of the most disgusting foods in the world, the safe ones anyways. And so that's where I tried a spoonful of Vegemite, and it was a horrific experience that I'll never forget. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the stinky cheese I ate at the bar. You wouldn't think that cheese could be so putrid, but there's some cheeses out there that are just awful. I don't even know why mankind's putting them in their mouths. There's a cheese that's served in some country in Europe that has maggots on it. And they had it at the museum. You couldn't eat it, but they had it behind glass. It's maggot. It's called like kasum marzu, something like that. And it's served in like Sardinia. Well, how did I even get on this disgusting maggot cheese discussion? Oh, the Vegemite. We're talking about Vegemite. We have Andrei McKechnie. He's 54 years old, serving a life sentence for murder, she wrote. He took his battle for the salty, sticky brown byproduct of brewing beer to the Supreme Court of Victoria, and he wants his Vegemite. Well, I mean, he's a murderer. That's another reason maybe not to do his bidding. Most Australians revere Vegemite, it says, as an unfairly maligned culinary icon, and more than 80% of Australian households are estimated to have a jar of Vegemite in their pantries. But inmates in all 12 prisons of Victoria are going without Vegemite. You're probably wondering, why aren't they allowed to have Vegemite? Is it because of some sort of cruel and unusual punishment loophole? Well, it turns out no. Vegemite has been banned from Victorian prisons since 2006, with corrections saying it, quote, interferes with narcotic detection dogs. So I'm not sure what that means. Apparently, inmates used to smear packages of illicit drugs with Vegemite in the hope that the odor would distract the dogs from the contraband. Oh, well, that's a strange reason to have it banned. People rubbing Vegemite on the drugs so no one finds it. You know, they can always rub something else on the drugs so the dogs won't enjoy it, like their own poop. You know, maybe you should ban their own poop. All right, this is getting weird. Vegemite also contains yeast, which is banned from Victorian prisons because of its potential to be used in the production of alcohol. Even though the manufacturing process that makes Vegemite actually kills the yeast, and Vegemite cannot be fermented into alcohol, according to science. But not that science matters when you're running a prison. You know, fear does the work of reason, as they say. Now, this prisoner, McKechnie, who's in prison for murder, is seeking a court declaration that he was denied his right under the Charter of Human Rights and Responsibilities Act to, quote, enjoy his culture as an Australian. Well, I don't know about you, but this sounds like a very flimsy argument here. Enjoy your culture. Yeah, I mean, with that argument, you could order some Australian strippers to your cell. You know, Don't deny me my right to enjoy the Australian women, which also happens to be Australian culture. Or you could say that because you're not allowed some sort of Australian gin, that you're being denied the Australian culture. So stupid. But, prisoners, they got a lot of time on their hands, so I'm no doubt this guy's going to continue to fight for his right for Vegemite. I guess we'll have to wait and see if the judge gives him his Vegemite. Perhaps he's going to ask the judge, do you speak my language? Do you speak my language? He just smiled and gave me a Vegemite sandwich. And he said, oh, do you come from a prison down under? Oh, yeah. All right, enough of that crazy singing. The article ends by saying a little bit about Vegemite. Manufactured in Australia since 1923 as an alternative to Britain's Marmite. Marmite or Marmite? I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. This has long been marketed as a source of vitamin B6 for growing children. They always give children crap and tell them there's vitamins in it. I was raised on Sunny Delight. No vitamins in Sunny Delight, I'm here to report. It's a miracle that I grew to be over 5 feet tall. The spread Vegemite is beloved by a majority of Australians, but typically considered an acquired taste at best by those who weren't raised on it. The last U.S. president to visit Australia, Barack Obama, once said of Vegemite, quote, "It's horrible." Australian band Men at Work aroused international curiosity when they mentioned a Vegemite sandwich in their 1980s hit Down Under. It's a favorite on breakfast toast and in cheese sandwiches. Cheese sandwiches with Vegemite. Wow, that sounds like poison. I mean, it sounds great. Most fans agreeing Vegemite is best applied sparingly, and it is banned in most prisons in Australia, turns out. Well, I don't know. Maybe who cares, right? Give the prisoners Vegemite. Who gives a damn? It's not going to do any harm, right? I don't know. And maybe Vegemite can take this and run with it as far as like PR goes. Vegemite could have a whole campaign about how much prisoners enjoy Vegemite. Vegemite. 1 out of 10 prisoners prefer Vegemite's killer taste. A passenger was found with a meat cleaver on a plane. How does a passenger get a meat cleaver all the way into the plane? I got pulled over for a tiny bottle of shampoo. They make a big to-do of it. Someone gets a meat cleaver on the plane? Wow. Sounds like TSA really butchered this security check, huh? I mean, they're not the sharpest tools in the drawer, what can you say? But, I'm not going to bust their chops too bad in this particular segment. This story is out of Portland, Oregon. Over the weekend, officials confirmed reports that a flight at Portland International Airport was delayed after a person brought a meat cleaver onto the plane. This isn't one of those items, too, that you could just have an excuse like, oh, I forgot to leave it at home, like you can do with some items. No. I don't think that's getting you out of this one. You brought a meat cleaver on the plane. I mean, what are you going to say? Oh, I thought they were serving fresh meat on the flight. Or, I'm taking it because I'm going to Kobe, Japan, and I heard the meat down there is bomb, so I wanted to bring my cleaver. Being that it's Portland, Oregon, you might get away with saying something like, hey, that's my emotional support cleaver. Because flights make me really uncomfortable and nervous, so I need to grip my meat cleaver really tight to my chest and sometimes to somebody else's skull. Now, according to the Port of Portland, that's funny, the Port of Portland, you've reached the Port of Portland. Staff on a Delta flight reported to TSA they discovered a hazardous item on the plane. TSA later confirmed that a passenger had passed through a security checkpoint with a meat cleaver in their carry-on bag. Well, that's nice to know that meat cleavers are just going right through security. Everybody take off your shoes. Yeah, sure, but, meat cleavers going through. You said take out our laptops, not our small axes, so I just thought I could get it right through. Wow. TSA is an effing circus with no reasoning or rhyming whatsoever. You know what TSA stands for? Thousands standing around, because that's what they do. They just stand around. Most out-of-shape security you'll ever encounter. Second maybe to a mall cop, and dumber than a bag of cleavers. Now, according to the article, after the meat cleaver was discovered on the flight, which it doesn't say the details as to how that came about. How did the passengers just take out their reading glasses, their biography of Jeffrey Dahmer, and then like, oh, I can't believe I brought my meat cleaver on here. Wow, what a snafu. Or was the passenger all alone in the back just sharpening it, and a passenger heard the sharpening noises? What went down? I want to know. I need to know. You bring a cleaver on the plane and you better say so. I need to know. So it says all the passengers were required to disembark and go through security once again. Port of Portland. The Port of Portland said no one was arrested in connection with the incident. Oh, so you didn't take the guy away with the cleaver? What was his excuse for bringing the cleaver on? Oh, I'm going to a Halloween party in Utah. So this is part of my Michael Myers costume. How do you not get in trouble for bringing a cleaver on the plane? Must have had a good story and a good excuse. I don't know how you forget that you have a cleaver on you. This is just, I guess being dumb gets you out of certain things. Now, the TSA was asked for a comment, and a spokesperson said, "We take this matter very seriously. We are reviewing the incident, and once we determine the circumstances surrounding this event, we will take appropriate corrective action that could include additional training of the security screening workforce." I don't think you need additional training. It's not like your employees don't know that you can't bring a small axe or a sword or a giant steak knife onto a plane. Everybody knows that. You obviously had an employee being lazy, dropping the ball, not paying attention to the screen. Just fire that person and move on with your operations. I mean, would I love to see you do some revamping of your operations? Sure. I don't think I should be taking off my shoes anymore in 2025. I don't think you should be taking away my very small jar of Japanese marmalade that I'm trying to bring home to put on my toast along with my Vegemite. So, instead of additional training, maybe just like additional scrutiny in the hiring process, because there's some people working there that are just completely brain dead and they don't want to be there. They hate their jobs. They haven't smiled since 1996. These people aren't who I need to be interacting with. I'm getting screamed at to take my laptop out of a bag. Screamed at. Is that necessary? Do you have any idea how many times I've been pulled over in TSA because I'm carrying a microphone and a piece of sound equipment? They're looking at the microphone like, what do you... Have you ever seen a microphone before? Think I'm going to blow up a plane with a microphone? This guy brings a cleaver on board? I mean, none of it makes any sense. What am I trying to do?
Welcome back.
According to a new scientific study, shouting at seagulls stops them from stealing your food. It's the sound of science. Boop, boop, boop. Science. Okay, we got a serious scientific study here that showed shouting at seagulls makes them more likely to leave your food alone. This is according to a research paper called Herring Gulls Respond to the Acoustic Properties of Men's Voices, and it was published in what's called Biology Letters. I wonder from where. Was it the University of Obvious? Shouting at seagulls makes them go away. You mean scaring wild animals scares them away? Oh boy, I would have known. This is groundbreaking. Who are these geniuses behind this groundbreaking research, I say? The other day I was bemoaning that the Trump administration's cutting science budgets. But, if science is going to keep conducting these stupid studies, which are a total waste of resources, I'm kind of on board with them cutting science budgets. Yeah, so I say just slash the budgets. That way the nerds aren't wasting resources studying whether or not birds fly away when you scream at them at the beach, or what sort of classical music a walrus likes. Okay, back to the story. This is University of Exeter, where researchers, this is what they did. They put a Tupperware box of chips on the ground to pique seagulls' interest. It doesn't say whether it was at the beach or not. I'll just imagine it's at the beach. Once a seagull approached, they played either a recording of a male voice shouting the words, "No, stay away, that's my food." The same voice speaking those words, or the neutral bird song of a robin. Okay. I mean, really? You played the sound of a human screaming, "Get away," and then you played the sound of a robin tweeting. This is what you used as the gauge. Not only is this the dumbest premise for a research project I've ever seen, but the way they're carrying it out, it's like children. Are you kidding me? How do we get these people to give back the money? How do we, any way to do that? Can you just give this money? People are lining up at food banks. Can we just get this money back? Feed some poor people with it instead of paying to feed seagulls for no reason. Anyway, they tested apparently 61 seagulls across 9 seaside towns in Cornwall and found that nearly half of those gulls exposed to the shouting voice of a man flew away within a minute. Only 15% of the gulls exposed to the speaking male voice flew away, while the rest walked away from the food, still sensing danger. In contrast, 70% of the gulls exposed to the robin song stayed near the food for the duration of the experiment. Wow! I would have never guessed that! And in other news, shit stinks. Bad. News at 11. Here's a study I'd like to see done. The person that's feeding seagulls at the beach, that annoying person, if you punch them in the face, what percentage of the time will they get up and leave the premises? Now, there's a very worthwhile area of study regarding seagulls. Nothing to even do with seagulls, really. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can't even extrapolate this flimsy data to all beaches all over the world, because there are some places where the seagulls are used to being around humans and they're extremely aggressive. And they're not going to go anywhere when you yell at them because they've been used to being yelled at already. Have you met the pigeons at Coney Island? These pigeons carry switchblades. They will take all of your fries, and then they'll force you at knife point to get in the car and go through a McDonald's drive-thru and buy them some more fries. The only thing scarier than a Coney Island seagull is a Coney Island pigeon. Okay, back to the study. Here's one of their groundbreaking conclusions. When trying to scare off a seagull that's trying to steal your food, talking might stop them in their tracks, but shouting is more effective at making them fly away. Shouting loudly, they fly away. Phew, thank God I can read today. I would have never known what to do when a seagull tried to steal my fries. Did you guys test certain words? If you drop the F-bomb, is it more effective in making them fly away a millisecond quicker? I'd love to know. Spend a couple million finding that out and get back to me. Meanwhile, I'll just continue to use my old method at making the seagulls go away, and that's throw my sandals at them. Now, I know it's not ideal because then I have to go and pick up the sandal, but it's quite fun. It's quite fun. Occasionally I hit a child in the chin. It's lovely. The article ends by saying, our experiment was designed to show that physical violence is not necessary to scare off the seagulls. Well, yeah, I'm going to keep throwing my sandal at the seagulls, or empty Modelo bottles. Those are very effective. Occasionally I like to run up to them and blow a hit from my vape in their face. You know, I can get real spunky like that at the beach. Well, there you have it, guys. Scientists are spending money to tell us what we already knew. Common sense. When the seagulls are stealing your fries, if you use your normal speaking voice, they keep stealing your fries. If you scream, they stop stealing your fries, which coincidentally also works when your girlfriend tries to steal your fries, I found. Hi, my friends. This is Jonesy, the host of Weird AF News. Thank you so much for spending some time with me in the Weird AF News podcast episode for today. Appreciate it. Thanks for all the emails that have been sent to me, sending articles my way. Very, very helpful. It makes my job a little easier when I'm trying to find weird news for the podcast, so I appreciate that. I have an email, funnyjones@gmail.com, if you ever want to send something, and I'm on Instagram @funnyjones. If you would like to support the show with your millions and billions and millions and billions of dollars, please go to weirdafnews.com, where you can join the Patreon, or you can buy me a coffee. That's the way to do it. And I guess that's it. I'll keep it under 20 minutes today. I respect your time. I know it's midweek, and it's you're busy. You're busy, so you stay busy, all right? We'll see you soon. Good luck with your life, man.